celebrating the Republic Day of India, and a great day to remember the father of poultry industry in India, late Padmashri Dr.B.V. Rao. During the break time, I was talking to few of the professors in this August gathering to whom I know one-on-one. I have a faint memory when I was a student and passing out in 1995. Like Mr. Ashok Kumar is an advisor or associated with the Karnataka Veterinary College, Pandit Vishwanath Dubey was associated with Phoenix Hatchery, who was an MD and was associated with our Jawaharlal Nehru Krishi Vidyalaya JNKV Veterinary College. And during the passing out, there was a lecture where Dr. Rao said 3-4 important things, and I remember today, and I'm really feeling delighted that today on this memory day, the organizers have given me this honor to address to the August gathering many knowledgeable people sitting here from the industry, from the academia, and I feel great proud and privileged. So I would like to extend my warm thank you to IVP and to the Karnataka Poultry Farmers and Breeders Association for giving this opportunity. In the next 25 minutes, I would like to present to you this presentation, but before that, if I recall the memory lane, I remember 3 things, because at that time I was passing out and my vision was to become the professor of anatomy, which I could not. Because at that stage you were looking for, during my period, people in veterinary science were coming from the humble background. And I was also from a semi-rural background. So naturally the employability and the future prospects, all these were the questions in the mind of a student. And I do remember that Dr. B.V. Rao then addressed to the student, he said, the future of this industry is bright. Problems will come and go, but with the help of knowledge you need to solve. And please remember, always work with the farmers and keep the animal protein like poultry affordable. And remember, things will change, but values will not change. So today on this dais, if I connect, yes, there are changes happening in the world, and so too India is not an island. We will be impacted with that. And we have the world-class poultry industry today, world-class academia and educators, globe-trotter farmers, those who are bringing the technologies and views from the world and competing in the market. Before I start this presentation, we have to take this antibiotic issue, whether we like it or not. This is a risk to your enterprise. If you map your poultry operations, there is a risk of capital, there is a risk, and there is an uncertainty. Uncertainty like earthquake or flood cannot be controlled, but the risk to the enterprise can be minimized and mitigated. So I would like to request here in this audience, the change makers, the catalyst, that this is inevitable because we are living in a Google age. Consumers are informed, they take decisiveness, and they like to buy what they like to buy. So the antibiotic concerns calls for a different approach. And what are these different practical approaches? So we have worked out, I have worked out this presentation in consideration with my colleague Dr. Heinrich, who was the in charge of a leading integration company in Europe and was involved in this change process, which helps you in growing the chicken, exploiting the genetic potential fully, as Dr. Reddy mentioned. And then what are the options and how to evaluate the options as I represent the feed additive sector. And what is the take-home message? So as Dr. Prakash mentioned, that way back in 1990s, Sweden was the first nation which decided to decrease and subsequently stop the usage of the antibiotic growth promoter. So you can say that the change nucleus was in Sweden, which later on became bigger and bigger when there was a formation of the European bloc. Then Sweden, along with the Netherlands, they started advocating, and in this change they took around 6 to 7 years, and they mentioned that AGPs is unwanted. AGP is unwanted. Why? Because it is used to disguise management failures. This is not my words, these are the words of the expert committee. And please, if any of you is accessing Google also, World Health Organization has recently mentioned misuse, overuse, underuse and extra level use of antibiotics leads to resistance. And then the second sentence which mentions is antibiotic resistance cannot be avoided, it can only be retarded. So the implications is the veterinarian friends, faculty and the farmers have to join hands together and make a new approach. And as I mentioned that this started growing, and from the European Union they fully banned. In 1997 the first was avoparcin, later the carbadox, tyrosine, step by step the other molecules, and now they are evaluating even to ban coccidiostaps. How to grow the chickens without coccidiostaps. So ultimately, the theory of the premise is that if the chicken is healthy and if you are taking care of all the approaches to make a farm healthy, why to use the antibiotic? It should be used only when there is an illness. And they created veterinary medical prescriptions, or in US we call POM, prescription only medication category. And these things are important because if you are not able to preserve the important molecules, because I represent pharmaceutical industry, I know that today there is no new investment coming in search of a new antimicrobial by any great companies, because the regulatory affairs has become tough, registration cost has become astronomical, and companies are looking for the alternative technologies. So, what is the challenge today? If suppose antibiotic growth promoters voluntarily, if you don't want to use, is the cost of production will go up? Is there any alternative we will get the same performance? These are the few questions which come in mind, and they are natural. They have come in Europe also, as Dr. Prakash mentioned in his presentation. There was a protest by the poor farmers, and then there was a hand-holding by the university, by the faculty, and then there was a gradual transformation. And I practically think that in India also this is the best method which will help. So how to support the gastrointestinal tract health and performance and profitability? So what is the solution? It's very common. There is no one solution. It has to be bundled. It's going to different actions need to be taken at a time with integrated approach. Because every cause has its effect, and we need to balance out cause and effect and exploit the genetic potential. So the first and foremost is how to create natural barriers of infection. The natural barriers of infection can be created by hygiene on farm. How to have a better biosecurity, this is known to all of us, and late Dr. B.V. Rao has talked about this, as Nandkumarji mentioned, in way back in 1970s and 80s. So, importance of biosecurity we all know. The only issue and challenge is how it is being executed and how it has been audited timely by the various companies, those who are producing chicken. The most important thing is garbage in is garbage out. And that's why if you are not controlling the quality of the raw material, there are certain basic things which people are doing, but there are always innovation in the process. What are these things which create a 1-unit control in language of the mathematics, if I say that what is that one factor which will have the geometrical proportion impact on the profitability or the production cost. So number one is the microbial contamination should be as low as possible. Now as low as possible, it is an adjective, rather it is very difficult. But every company has to design its strategy how you can have a microbial contamination as low as possible. Distinguished nutritionists and the vets are sitting in the room, they know about it, but we need to consider this point as a paramount. Load with mycotoxin must be considered closely. Maize is dry today, whether should I use toxin or binder or not, moisture percentage is such, then I will add the binder or the deactivator. All these things are changing. Now there is a near ELISA based methods which are available. Farmer can invest on that. They can get the real time test done. Qualitatively and quantitatively they can find the results within 2 to 3 hours, at least 6 to 7 toxins, and they can evaluate what they have to do. High standard in manufacturing practice, that is GMP, is must for the feed mill storage, not only in the manufacturing but storage and handling. GMP should be there and it should be audited regularly. Grain and corn should be cleaned technically. In the next slide I will show you what is the impact on the levels of mycotoxins. Even if you have corn before cleaning, yellow corn cleaned in step 1, there are 2 steps in cleaning. And then the other one, this bar, grey color bar, is the step 2. So if you see, there are the 2 different batches. 2171 was brought to 1184 in batch number 2491 for dawn in PPB. Batch number 257 from 265, it was brought down to 814, nearly 1/3. So the significance of this, we need to see seed cleaning and not a very expensive seed cleaning down your risk of the enterprise, risk of the performance, and the quality of the feed is getting improved. We all know, most of us are veterinarian, that the passage of the feed is through the different pH zone. And the biochemical reaction of the digestion happens enzymatically. And the speakers have mentioned that digestion, immunocompetence of the bird, balanced nutrition, everything originates from the gastrointestinal tract. So if you see that from a pH of 2.5 to the pH of the 7, the journey of the feed is there. Now in this journey, there is a different time through which the feed will pass. If you see in crop the pH 5.5, the retention time will be around 50 minutes. And in colon it is around 25 minutes. In jejunum it is around pH is 6.5 to 7, around 20 to 30 minutes. pH is 5, just 5 to 8 minutes. 11, 50 to 70 minutes, and pH is between 8. This particular slide is, whenever there is a change, there is a fear. But when we get down and go to the science behind it, we will find the possibilities. I would like to mention nothing related with this. I have met recently with one of the professors, his name is Siba. Tony Siba is a professor of the Stanford University. In Google you will find a lot of videos. He was saying in one presentation that all the car companies in future, they will not be able to exist after 10 years if they will not change. Because when you buy any company car, they give you 3 to 4 years of maximum warranty or guarantee. Because in today's car, there are more than 2,000 moving parts. How many? 2,000. But when you make a battery wala car, there are only 4 or 5 moving parts. Tesla, a company, wants to give lifelong warranty of the car. So same way, consumer behavior and expectation is changing, and we have to dig it down. Today's problem can be opportunity solver, and the person who solves this problem connects with the market, creates wealth for the enterprise. So this is an important thing, and I say that there is a complex environment in GIT. Gut health is an important thing, and most important, in we all know there is a rapid inflammatory response. Many experts are sitting here. They will be knowing about it that in poultry, 12 hours you will get the inflammatory response. If you consider the mammals, it will take days. So these changes or these causes and these predisposing factors, they will give you an opportunity to address the problem differently and exploit the gut. So the gut health becomes very important because in a complex environment we need to manage it. Because if the gut health is not managed, the outcome is different. And we can correlate it with a human being. If you don't have the passing of stool proper for 2-3 days, you know how discomfortable we feel. And ultimately, when there is a dysbacteriosis, incomplete digestion is there. So whatever the cost in balanced nutrition we are investing, we are not able to get extraction out of it in terms of performance. So there is an acute effect and there is a long-term effect of it. Acute effect is insufficient feed conversion, and the long-term effect will be on the organs related to digestion. So ultimately, performance outcome will not be there. So what we should do? Because normally it is expected that there are things which is not in our control. Only with AGP we can get because there are a lot of problems in the field, and India is different than Europe, and there is a problem, so we cannot expect the performance. But in this audience, I will request, I have one first slide in earlier speaker's presentation that from 1990s, from 2.20 FCR, the current FCR he was 1.6. So why it has happened? 90% contribution is of the genetics and 10% is of the management and nutrition. So we need to consider another important part when you want to go to make feed without AGPs, how to use feed technology. Because there is an effect on the structure of the feed, physical properties in the feeding systems, and they have an impact on the GIT. If the passage of feed is fast, you will get purging. If it is slow, you will not get the optimal results. So the structure of the feed is very vital. And to control the structure of the feed, you have components, that is what kind of raw materials you are using, what kind of the premixes and byproducts. Anything and everything which is available cheap is not good. It does not minimize the cost. It can have a latent problems built inside it. So we need to evaluate it to minimize the cost. We need to have a prudent method to rationalize the offers or the ingredients. Grinding process, the technology, the screen perforation, and the most important, in the next slide you will see, what is the distance of hammer with sieve? What is the distance of hammer with sieve? And ultimately it will all have an impact on pelleting and pelleting technique. This is one particular guide which I can see. I couldn't find further more papers on this. This is feed pellet quality factor. This was written by a professor from Jordan. If you see, there are various ingredients and there is a feed pellet quality factors which has been given 5, 7, for oil it is -40 and for lignin it is 50. So with the pellet feed quality factor, numerically before, while doing the formulation also, we can estimate the pellet quality. This is a very important thing. Press roll and die on particle size in brother duct. If you see the distance, this is the percentage particle 1 mm diameter. So red color is a brother standard diet and this yellow color is a pellet. This is the 39.4, 13.8. When the brother died 1.5 millimeter distance press roll to die, it is 62% and 9.9. When the brother died minimum distance press roll to die is kept, it is 62 and from 9.9 it is 24.5. So it has a serious impact. So feed technology is also one tool when you prepare the feed without AGPs to be considered. So we all know that it has to be adopted for the different phases diets and the digestible amino acid, this is all we know. But the actual knowledge to support the GIT is through fermentable fibers, because fermentable fibers are also very vital. So when we design, we have to focus on the structure of the feed, fermentable fiber and on the gut health. As other speakers mentioned, there are the anti-nutritional factors. They have an interaction not only with the what you apply as the pharmacokinetics of the antibiotics and various other things. It has got a serious challenges. So we need to look into it, and we know when we make feed in India, we look into it. But this is just a point of reference which I want to mention. But the most important thing is how to address these challenges, because processing of raw material you are using either toasting, expansion or extrusion. Is there any new technique which can further enhance the value of the raw material and can deactivate the anti-nutritional factor? Yes, there is a technique. We are working on this technique, which I will show you in the next slide, and how to combine it with the various options of additives available. So there are a list of the additives, right from the enzymes, prebiotics, probiotics, organic acids, secondary plant compounds and essential oils. In enzymes, we are well informed, so they are integral approach which needs to be included. Probiotic and prebiotics are also very important to be considered while adding any additive without ATPs, because probiotics have an impact on immune system and prebiotics, fermentable fiber, particularly hydrothermally processed fiber rich raw material, will have a solid impact on the feed path. Organic acids, most of us we are using, sometimes it is buffered, non-buffered, and selection of the organic acids based on the pKa value, which is very vital. This is now the important thing is which organic acids to choose based on the target, and I think the well-informed audience are sitting, they know about this. So the important thing is that sometimes I have seen there is a misuse or overuse of the organic acids also in the field. A little dose or a very high dose, not the optimal one which is required. So this is a point which needs to be considered, and for which we need to evaluate organic acids based on the pKa value and actually what is the objective. Buffer capacity, amino acid digestibility, calcium content and source. What is the calcium content and source? You are using a organic acid. What is the relationship, interaction with the calcium? All these factors needs to be considered when you are making the feed without AGPs. So there are a lot of practical experiences which I would like to quote here, which has actually been derived from the long successful history from Europe. Only doses of at least 3 to 5 kg liquid formic acid or combination of formic and lactic acid in the proportion 80 to 20 per metric ton can be effective. This is the practical experience. Liquid organic acid on an inorganic carrier in 1 to 3 kg are ineffective. So this is the practical experience. Organic acid in the drinking water the dosage at least 0.5 to 2.5 kg liquid organic acids. So based on the pKa value, there is a required quantity. Sometimes apparent cost seems high, so there is an advocation to use it either at a low dose or suboptimal dose, which doesn't work. So if we want a consistent result without AGPs, we need to consider all these aspects. Secondary plant compounds, which are very popular and they are very important tool which can be considered to make feeds without AGP. There are various groups, phenolic group, tannin agents, bitter and pungent substances, alkaloids, which are very effective. And the mode of action is through sensory cells in GIT, it is activating, and there is an increase in the permeability of cell membrane. There are various mode of action of different secondary plant compounds. So when you get an ideal formulation which is thermostable, it will work for you. This is the technology which is not a very capital intensive, long-term conditioning and liquefaction. So what do you do here? You use moisture, you use temperature, you use shear forces and a high pressure over a period of some time, and the feed material becomes a refined feed material in terms of nutritional value. This is the machine which can be put parallel to the main machine, and the capital expenditure works out to be not very high. If you process it in Indian rupee, it will around 30 paisa per kilogram, and this is a platform technology. Various raw materials can be used as input and you can get a refined output. So even I have seen a farm in Europe when the soybean prices are very high, using COP 500, growing COP 500 by importing what is we call guar from India, and it is being done with this LTLC technology. So the principle of the LTLC technology is that you combine the advantages of existing technology and you put an expander, only product cooling and no drying. It is only cooling, there is no drying. So it helps you how? It improves the pores of the fibers. So there is a characteristic change in the matrix structure of the product. What are these changes? There is a modification of the starch granule. And these structural carbohydrates like NDF and ADF. So you get right down till the molecular level. So this enhances the digestibility and hence the performance. How the enlargement of the starch granule surface, far-reaching disintegration of the semi-crystalline and crystalline structure of the amylopectin and amylose of the crystalline carbohydrate structure in NDF-ADF, rich raw material. So a fiber-rich raw material can be made more bioavailable by using the LTCL technology. And this is a low capex technology, and anybody can use his own jugaad and can create his own machine and can put a small lab or a small experiment to see whether it works out for them or not. Information is available with us. So significant reduction in the anti-nutritional factors. So one way is you are taking care of the enzymes and other things to reduce the or combat the anti-nutritional factors to get the performance. The other way is that your own technology, platform technology, which can be created by you to reduce the anti-nutritional factors and get the better performance. Oh, sorry. This is a practical feed formula. It is difficult from here to narrate this to the audience, but the objective of showing this slide is to show you that what I am telling you from the stage today, it is not just merely a pseudoscience. This is a real science, and we have worked out it for more than 7-8 years. So this is available. If you see in this LTCL cooked soybean, LTCL cooked corn, LTCL cooked sunflower meal, LTCL cooked canola expeller, soybean meal 46. Like this there are various, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 phase diet, and then the ME poultry kilocalorie, if you see, is around 2938, 2986, 3057 and 3000 approximately. And NDF, ADF and all factors have been incorporated, and this is working very well. So this is a important tool which is available for the producers. I have seen practically, and I asked this question being an Indian, and honestly I am telling you, when I asked the biggest poultry producers, they say when the antibiotic growth promoters were banned in Europe, there was a challenge initially, their cost has gone up, they were not able to understand how to do, what to do, the execution took time, there was a learning because they were the first. Today, the world is from 0 to 1. We need not to reinvent the wheel. That's what Dr. Rao did when Nandkumarji mentioned to import some good technology. So from 0 to 1, the work has been there. We are on 1. We can replicate the available good decent technologies which are there in the marketplace, and with this we can improve the profitability and grow the chickens with minimum antibiotic or at least without antibiotic growth promoter. Here I would like to state from the dais that antibiotics are not where they are required, but you need to preserve them like gold, because they are going to be gold when you need it. When person sells the gold, when he is not having the money from any source. Similarly, the antibiotics are gold, we need to preserve it, and it's a moral responsibility for us. Otherwise, we will not have the tool. When there is a fire, there will be no fire brigade for us. So, this is a very vital issue, and consumers want, as a producer, we should be pragmatic and prudent with the producers. Producers should be connecting, and as I mentioned, always there is a money in the last mile. If I fly from Bangalore to Delhi, my air ticket will not be more than 5,000, and the kilometer may be 1,800. It worked out to be 3 to 4 rupees kilometer. But yesterday when I took a taxi from Bangalore airport to reach Hebel area, my hotel, he charged me 1,200 rupees. So just a 40 kilometers, he charged me 30 rupees kilometer. So money is always in the last mile. We were always a production-oriented industry. We need to become consumer-centric. What a consumer wants, we must provide it, irrespective of the issues or challenges. We will be able to grow. And with this words, I would like to share my take-home message that yes, is there a possibility to grow chicken with minimum antibiotic and without antibiotic growth promoter? The answer is big yes. There may be teething problems, but we know as an Indian how to fit the Jugaad technology. We will be able to optimize it and we will be able to execute successfully. And rest all points as I mentioned, we need to take care of the gut health. Gut health is very vital, and this is going to a profit center. As there is a profit center in every company, gut health is your profit center. Biosecurity is your insurance, gut health is your profit center, and last mile is your profit, sustainability of profit. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nigam. Now I request Professor Mohammad Nazif Feroz sir to hand over the memento to Dr. Nigam, please. Now our last speaker, our own Dr. P.S. Mahesh, he will delve into natural